In today's battlefields, it's snipers who call the shots. Stealthy and silent, in skilled hands, their rifles can take out a target 1,000 yards away. But they also need to work perfectly in extreme conditions. So when it comes to making one of the world's most accurate weapons, how do they do it? Whatever your weapon of choice, in a war, whoever can fire the farthest and with the most accuracy holds a vital advantage. And for Army infantry, you don't get anything more long-range and accurate than a sniper rifle. This is the M110, the rifle of choice of the U.S. Army's elite marksman. Designed to deal with the harsh conditions of Afghanistan, this 20-round semi-automatic can be lethal at up to 1,000 yards. It's precisely engineered to make sure a sniper's long shot is anything but a gamble. 150 components working in perfectly balanced harmony, and most important of all is the rifle's barrel. When firing, the barrel helps ensure the gun is accurate to within 3/4 of an inch at a range of 330 feet. That could represent the difference between life or death for both sniper and a target. Incredibly, to engineer the barrel for this 21st century weapon, they use a machine that dates from the 1940s.
This is our Pratt & Whitney 1B raming machine. It was built during the World War II period. It's approximately about 75 years old.
Since the war, no one has managed to better this machine.
They were built heavy duty and built for precision. They didn't know how long World War II was gonna last, so they're made to last forever.
To make the barrel, Jeremy O'Neill first bores a perfectly smooth hole through a length of steel. Even more incredibly, this process has barely changed since Columbus first landed in the Americas.
This whole technology here, this is 500 years old. So the only thing that's really advanced is the tooling, and our steel is a little bit better than it used to be back then, but the methods that we're using is the same that they were using back in 1500.
But the truest of holes represents just part of the challenge. Like a football, in order to be accurate, a bullet needs to spin through the air. So the barrel is lined with precise grooves that rotate its speeding bullet. The grooves are created using a rifling machine, which gradually etches out 0.5 of a millimeter furrows using a rotating hardened steel hook. When the trigger is pulled, the explosive propellant sending the bullet hurtling down the barrel generates huge amounts of heat. To combat this, the highest quality steel is essential. Bullets exit the barrel at 1,740 miles per hour. The propellant also generates significant noise and flash, which would give away a sniper's position like a red flag. So the rifle is fit with a suppressor, a steel tube that absorbs the expanding gas and reduces the noise. Then it's on to making the gun as lightweight as possible. If the M110 was made out of steel, it would be impossible to carry for long distances. So other key parts are made from this, aircraft-grade aluminum. On this brooch, a swordfish-like steel blade cuts a hole for the magazine well. To cut through the aluminum, the blade is made from hardened steel. This is the heavy work. More intricate parts of the gun call for a lighter touch, provided by more surgical machines. Computerized cutters carve out the more complex shapes. The company has nearly 100 machines like this, all of which cut the parts to exact military specifications. But as precise as they are, even these machines leave behind tiny metal burrs, which could jam the rifle. So a final level of finishing is provided with a suitably soft touch.
It takes a lot of concentration, and we have to be very meticulous and very particular about what we do.
But precision is as important as polish. A fraction of a millimeter off, and the gun won't work. To check critical dimensions, this probe measures parts like this gun bolt to within 5 microns. If it's even a tiny amount off kilter, the consequences could be fatal.
It's critical that every part is designed to a highest standard. If any single part fails, you have a soldier's life at risk.
Once the individual parts are finished, they're anodized for protection. An expert hand painstakingly assembles every weapon. Once the main body is finished, the rifle is almost ready. But it's lacking probably the most important element of all, the scope. This is a sniper's eyes. Able to hone in on a target 1,000 yards away, it has to be perfectly aligned with the rest of the gun. And its illuminated crosshairs means a shooter can hit a bullseye when it's almost dark. Once the scope is attached, the rifle is checked and carted over for packing. But in the field, lives will depend on the M110's accuracy. Nothing can be left to chance. Checking that the rifle won't let a sniper down in the heat of battle is a 30-year veteran of the United States Marine Corps, Chuck Hubbard. Chuck's job is to make sure each rifle fires perfectly every time, and that means some target practice.
Chuck is the man.
But firing long range takes a lot more than point and shoot.
Some of the long-range factors we have to take into account is, one, range estimation. You got to make sure you know where you're at and how far your target is. Then there's humidity, there's mirage, crosswinds. Then you got to turn around and get that concentration going down for trigger control and controlling your breathing and your heart rate.
The rifle needs to respond the same way time after time, so Chuck needs to group his shots at one point on the target. It's a near-perfect group, a testament to Chuck's shooting skills and to the accuracy of the M110. And with over 3,000 of these rifles deployed on the front line, the M110 is making the U.S. Army's snipers an almost silent, yet deadly adversary.